Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday morning, another edition of One True Sport Daily. I am your host, Ryan Droste, and once again, I've got the rotating guest chair this week. I've had a really fun time with this. I hope my buddy Zach Haydorn is enjoying his vacation. He will be back on Monday with me, but we've been keeping the seat warm. You know, we had Jesse Velasquez on here, my co-host from Top Rope Nation. He did a really good job. At Rob Wilkins from Fightful here yesterday and today. A good friend of the pod. He tunes into Top Rope Nation. He's a big supporter of Brass Ring Media. We see him here in the chat room on One True Sport. You've heard him on Pro Wrestling Torch before as well. Mr. Sean Plichta, welcome to One True Sport Daily. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Ryan. I appreciate you having me on, man. I haven't really got to talk to you much about wrestling, just the two of us. So I'm excited. There's a lot to talk about for sure. It's good to be on here, man.
Yeah, great to have you. We've got a full lineup this week. I'll have another guest host tomorrow and on Friday. So I'm really glad that you could
Yeah.
join us here today. We got a lot of AEW to talk about. We're going to run down last night's NXT results as well. But this is going to be a really heavy AEW show today. We've pretty much been all WWE this week coming out of SummerSlam. So now we'll switch gears to AEW, talk about the big edition of Dynamite. Also some Cobra Kai news I saw this morning with an AEW tie-in, which I found very interesting. So we will get to all of that. You guys, if you are tuning in live here with us right now, let us know in the chat. Of course, super chats are open. Super chats are the number one way to support One True Sport Daily, to keep this content coming each and every day. Also, support the channel, onetruesport.com. You can become a member and get access to exclusive benefits, exclusive shows. You can chat with some of the biggest legends in the history of pro wrestling. Check out their shows here on the channel as well. People like Rob Van Dam and Kurt Angle and Arn Anderson, who are always around putting out content here with myself on onetruesport.com. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, would really, really appreciate that. It helps us improve our reach. And also, as you see the logo at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, I host a show called Top Rope Nation. Have been doing so since 2016. You can also find us on YouTube. Just search Top Rope Nation. Would love to have you subscribe to our channel as well. Guys, so as we start to get into this AEW talk, Sean, I just wanted to talk about kind of where where you're at with the AEW product in general, because I know that, I see it in our chat here every day. Some people are very positive on AEW, other people super critical. Now, obviously, WWE is the hot product right now. They're doing massive business, and AEW is the challenger, new brand. I mean, where are you at on AEW right now, Sean? Do you make a point to tune in every week? Are you high on AEW? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you very low? Where are you at as an AEW fan?
So I still watch it every week. I want them to succeed. I want them to do the best they possibly can. I I'm not. I haven't been very high on the product, especially in the last year or two, actually. Really, since the whole CM Punk stuff happened, and then I feel like after that, it's just really, as you can tell with the ratings and the attendance, it's gone downhill pretty quickly. But there's still things I like about the product. There's the things I've always disliked is the fact that the matches are very predictable. You always know what's happening. You always know who's winning. The storylines to me just have not been very compelling to me to really sink my teeth into. Now I think they're getting on the right track. There's some of these main stories that are definitely better than that they've done in a little while. So I'm feeling good about that. They're at least getting there. And then just like I said, it hurts when it just feels like a low product, like nobody's coming. It just feels, I don't know, like the certain things about it I just haven't dug. But at least I feel like they're getting on the right track. And with Mercedes finally in the heel realm, that's been very cool. And these big three matches that we'll talk about, I'm definitely feeling them. I think they've done a good job building them up. So overall, I'm still good on the product, but definitely lower than some people are.
Okay. So how do you feel about this push Bryan Danielson's getting? Because we're going to talk about him. He's in a big match tonight. How do you feel about him going into All In the world title picture? Are you wanting to see Bryan Danielson capture the AEW world title before he hangs it up as far as a full-time wrestler
Yeah.
goes? How are you feeling about the All In main event?
So I definitely love the match. I wanted it to be Swerve and Danielson. I think if you're going to have Danielson make this last little run or however long he's going to be on TV, he definitely should be built up in something big. And I think they've done a okay job. I just think it should be, hey, Danielson being serious about wanting to win the title. I honestly don't think he should win it. I think you have something really good in Swerve. I think you need to stick with it. I don't think just having Danielson get one little title run for a few months and then just giving it back. I just don't think Danielson doesn't need a title. He sells himself. He's Brian Danielson. He's one of the best to ever do this. So the stuff with Jeff Jarrett, which we'll get into, I stuff with Jarrett backstage initially coming in and saying, I want you to be all in. If you say you're all in, I want you to be all in. But the way they've gotten to this match tonight, I'm like, I don't know. Like, oh, I'm going to show you I'm all in. I'm going to have what? I'm not a fan of the way they built that part up. But Danielson being in a big match, I think they're starting to build to that. The segment from what I saw last week, from what I heard about it, and I saw between the two of them was really good. I think they're on a good track. I think the match is obviously going to be fantastic. But yeah, this Jarrett little off the kilter has been a little weird for me. But yeah, I'm still in Danielson Swerve. I think it's going to be good. And I think Swerve has to win. I think he's got to keep this title run moving in that direction.
Okay. So would you be good then with Danielson hanging him up after that match and just being totally done per the stipulation? Because we had a discussion on here about did they give away the finish when they added that stipulation that, if Brian loses, he can never wrestle again.
Yeah, and that's kind of what threw me off, because I think it's good in the sense of, well, maybe it's just a red herring. He's just saying he's going to be done. The whole maybe he will win the title and he'll keep going for a little while. Maybe he will have a decent title run. But I just don't see that. But I think it does build a little. I think that stipulation does build a little intrigue in the match, because it does make you think, well, maybe he will win, which they need that in AEW. They really do. Like, you just know in a lot of these pay-per-views, most 95% of the time, who's going to win. Even if the build might be okay, you still know, like, this guy's not winning. So the fact that you put that little thing in there that makes you suspend, like, oh, this could happen. I like that. I think it's fine. But no, I think they've done a good job. And I hope there's something tonight, even with the match happening, to build, because we only have a couple weeks left. They've got to really get me into, oh, Danielson could win this match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think with the Jarrett stuff, I can kind of go either way on this. Usually, when they first brought in Jeff Jarrett and then they kind of kept him around, I kind of rolled my eyes like, really? Like, do I really need to see Jeff Jarrett on AEW television? Right. I did like his involvement in the Owen, and of course, the awesome backstage segment that they filmed with him on that was very good. I kind of hope after this match he fades away a bit.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, him giving Brian like the motivation, you have to do this, and now he's going to show him that he can do it, is kind of a stretch. But I mean, I love Brian. I mean, he is on my Mount Rushmore of pro wrestlers. He absolutely is. And I'm any match I can watch with him at this point is icing on the cake. He's a guy who I never thought I would see wrestle again pre 2018. So ever since he came back, it's been awesome to watch him. I'm a little different than you, though. I actually do think he should win the title. And even before the stipulation, I was very much on this. We've been talking about in Top Rope Nation for a long time. And my reason for it is business, honestly, because, as you mentioned, the issues with ticket sales and ratings and everything. I think Brian Danielson is such a massive star, and people kind of forget how big of a star he is. He's one of the biggest crossover stars in wrestling in the last 10 years. Just WWE had a lot of people watching 10 years ago, but then also he crossed over Total Divas and Total Bellas, and then like the Yes chant was in sports. And I think AEW needs to capitalize on that. People know who this guy is just on the marquee. I think when they had the opportunity to put him in the main event at All In, it was a no-brainer. Wembley Stadium, you got to do this. I mean, they're not going to have a crowd as big as last year, but they're still going to have like 50,000 people there. So if you can move more tickets, definitely do it. And I think just a very short title run for him. I mean, we're talking, they're having Wrestle Dynasty in Washington, his home state. I think that's in October. So it might be like a 2-month title reign, and I would probably just have him drop it back to Swerve at that show. And you can have like the two Washingtonians in the main event at that show. And that's what I would do. But I just think also from the perspective of Tony Khan being this guy who grew up obsessed with Ring of Honor. And we saw that with Punk and how, despite everything happening backstage and everything unraveling with him, he had to make CM Punk his world champion. He went back to him multiple times, despite everything. It was like he wanted him on that title lineage. And I can't imagine he doesn't want Bryan Danielson on the lineage of his world title before Bryan hangs him up. And I would just like to have the opportunities to have Bryan come back for a couple of matches a year, even if he's not wrestling full time. It sounds like, I know his contract's up or coming up, depending on what you read, but it seems like they're pretty confident he's going to stick around, which is good. I think they need a force like Bryan in the locker room to steady things. I think he's been great there. He's been working with creative, which is a good thing. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with some of what you said, but I do think a title run, a short one, because I agree with you. Swerve that's still where the money is, and then eventually Ospreay for sure. But that's kind of where I'm at on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say there's something to that. Well, because my thing is, if they would have done good with Danielson or done well with him since he got in the company, I think now it's partly on Danielson. He's, his goal was, I just want to have all these dream matches with people. And yeah, I mean, it's been fine. Like the matches have been great. Now, I hated the Ospreay finish to that. I just hated it. I just, to make your neck injury such a big thing in the match. Like, oh, am I really done? Am I real? I just, it ruined the match for me. It just did. I mean, yeah, the match was one of the greatest I've seen, but then it put a damper on it. And so that's my only issue with him. I love him too, but I just wanted there to be more meat on the bone in AEW, and all he wanted just was to have matches with all these people. And yeah, the matches were great, but has it helped AEW in any way? No, it really hasn't. And just to me, putting a title on him for 2 months just to put him on the lineage of your title, I just don't think it ultimately does anything for the company. If he just gives it right back, it's like, well, he had a title and then I don't know. It just doesn't do much for me, but I could see what you're saying. It might help for those few months, and maybe it'll get an upswing, and maybe something could happen, and that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at that match at Dynasty, which, by the way, I think I called it Wrestle Dynasty, combining papers, Wrestle Dream in October.
Dream.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was at Dynasty in April with the Ospreay Danielson match, and yeah, when they did that finish and they kind of swerved you with the injury a little bit, no pun intended, the crowd was very confused for a while. Now, I knew personally he was just selling when he walked off when a hype video was playing, because it was like, if he's really hurt, they're bringing out a stretcher, and he just walked off. But the crowd was like stunned and everyone was talking, and it kind of took people out of the next match, the tag match, which was with the Bucks, which was a pretty good match, but it was kind of hard to get back into the show after that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you can go either way on this. We'll see what happens. I'm leaning towards him winning the title, but I don't know for sure. And yeah, the stipulation makes you question a little bit. So I think that's a good thing. Adds a new wrinkle to the match. Now, if he doesn't beat Jeff Jarrett tonight, Sean, now something is really wrong.
Absolutely. If Jarrett wins, I've lost all faith in humanity at this point, because I don't know what you'd be doing, Tony, if you do something weird like that. But you never know. With Tony Khan, anything is possible. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you talk about predictability. I mean, Bryan Danielson ain't losing this match. You're going to have Ricky Steamboat out there as a special guest, bringing in Ricky Steamboat. They're in North Carolina, Winston-Salem. So it makes sense with the Carolina history to have Ricky out there. He's been in the company before.
And he still looks good at his age, man. Every time he's around, he still looks good. I'm like, man, you've kept yourself in good shape, my friend. Good for you.
Yeah. Looks like he's, he could still go anytime. He looks like it anyways. I wouldn't be stunned. So
no, I
yeah,
wouldn't either.
We got that match tonight, and then we got AEW American Championship Eliminator match, the MJF deal where he's renamed this title, taking on Kyle Fletcher. They set this up last week with Kyle Fletcher coming to the aid of Will Ospreay. So where are you at with MJF and renaming the title the American Championship? What do you think about all of this?
Okay, it makes sense for him to do something like that. Like, I get why he would do that. So I've all been for being back to the heel, because the babyface just was not working. It was awful. It was bad in every sense of the word. To me, so far from what I've seen of his heel promos, I just think he's going back to the same well again, to what he was before. And I want some more wrinkles with him, to give me some more different material that just picking on the fans all the time and calling them hicks and calling them, trailer trash and all. And those things are fine. Like, it's okay to do that. But I feel like it's just been kind of the same heel shtick we got with him in the past. And I haven't loved it as much as I was hoping I would. And so, like, doing the American Championship, I mean, I chuckled when he brought it out, and I thought it was kind of funny. But then it was like, what does this do? Like, I don't even want another title on anything. I just don't want AEW to have anything looking like another title. Like, they have enough of those. I don't need
Yeah.
any more of those. So,
Yeah.
and the thing with Ospreay's been fine. It's been okay. The Kyle Fletcher stuff makes sense. I think they are slowly trying to build him into a bigger star. Has he lost way too much on TV? Absolutely. He's lost way too much on TV. Is he going to lose again today? Absolutely, because they have to build up the MJF Ospreay match. But I think starting on a good track. Kyle Fletcher, I think, they can build him back up to being something big because he has so much talent and he is actually better on the mic than I thought he would be. He's actually been okay for the little bit I've heard of him. So yeah, the match, we know what's going to happen, but MJF, I'm a little down on the heel turn so far, but I think the stuff with him and Ospreay has been good, and I think the match again is going to be great at All In. But I'm assuming Ospreay, and I will say real quick, I just wish it was for the main title, not for the international title. The international title just doesn't feel important, even with Ospreay having it and MJF having it. It just, I don't know. I would like this. If you're going to have this feud, initially I would have thought either do it separately on its own or just have the main AEW championship, not some other random secondary title.
Yeah, I'm there with you on MJF. The low hanging fruit promos are fine, but he doesn't seem to go beyond that. But I am super glad that he's a heel again because
Yes.
I never liked him as a babyface. Even when they did the Cole stuff, didn't like it. Didn't like when they put the tag titles on him because he was
No.
still the world champion and it just like relegated the world title, the side piece kind of thing. It was very bizarre. I was not a fan of that. I the title thing, making the international title the American title, I don't get at all. Like none of this makes sense to me because you're trying to get people to boo this guy, and then
Right.
he comes out and he does this rah-rah patriotism thing, the American title, and then of course everyone cheers him.
Gonna cheer
So
it.
then
Yeah,
he
you're
has
gonna
to
love it.
work like double hard to get booed. And like last week, the fans kind of got behind him a little bit, and then it felt like Ospreay really had to go a long ways to turn them in his favor. And then you had MJF on the ramp, and he healed on the fans a little bit more because they were cheering him because, of course, he's holding up red, white, and blue. And it's like that's not going to get him booed anymore in England. You know, like they're booking this for like the English audience, trying to make sure MJF gets booed. But like on one hand, dude, they're obviously going to cheer Ospreay. He's the home countryman. He's obviously going to get more cheered at All In. And then all your TV pretty much up to All In is in the United States. So you can't have a guy doing a patriotism shtick and thinking he's going to get booed. I mean, none of it makes sense to me at all. A bunch of our listeners on Top Rope Nation are Brits, like about a quarter of them. We have a huge following over there, and they've
Awesome.
been very active in our chats weekly, saying like, "This isn't 1776. We don't hate Americans. I don't know why they think that we hate the American
Exactly.
flag and we're going to boo that belt or something." So it's all been very, very strange. But I mean, I do think they're in the right place having MJF as a heel. That is the dynamic they need, especially with I think they got two guys in Ospreay and Swerve who
Right.
are kind of these like transcendent baby faces. I mean, Swerve has been phenomenal, and if you go to a live show, it's clear Ospreay's the biggest deal on the show right now. I got to give him a lot of credit because everyone thought that he was going to win the world title All In a couple of months ago. Just them going to England, and he didn't want to do that, and so he made a point to go to the locker room and be like, I'm going to lose to Swerve, and I'm going to do this international title deal instead to prove that, like, I can step aside and let somebody else run with this company. It doesn't have to all be about me. And so, yeah, he pitched that. He wanted to do the clean loss to Swerve and go into something else until they're ready to make him world champion. Because I'm telling you, I went to Dynasty and then I was at a Dynamite in early June, and it was like Swerve got a big response. Don't get me wrong, but Ospreay was like, this is the guy. You could tell the minute he came out. So for him to step to the side when he had all that steam, I mean, this says a lot about him as a performer and like a locker room leader as well, I think.
Yeah, I've loved most everything Ospreay's done so far. I didn't get to watch him much other than see a few matches on YouTube because I haven't been able to keep up with New Japan really at all. And so I just had heard so much about him and watched a little bit. And then since he's been in AEW, I mean, I've loved everything he's done. I've loved all of his matches. Like he's great in the ring. He's better on the mic than I gave him credit for. Yeah, I've enjoyed everything he's done so far. He's definitely the biggest star in that company to me by far right now.
Yeah. He's the guy who I can see helping them break through to kind of the next level long term. Like everything about him. He's so believable on promos. He's just stuff like he's got a great theme song. I feel like there's not a lot of great themes in wrestling right now. Like that's one of the complaints people have about WWE is their theme music isn't great, despite the company being on fire. And I tend to agree there. Ospreay's theme is a banger. He's got a great theme song, great presentation. You know where we're at in the world now, they want people with that they can push on social media with just clips and like TikTok and YouTube and shorts and reels on Instagram. And Ospreay's a guy who, like, the way he wrestles just is so well suited for short attention spans. Like, look at all the flips and stuff that this guy can do, and that's the kind of stuff that will attract viewers. You know, Swerve, he also has the crossover appeal, his connections to hip hop and everything. He's just a cool dude. And obviously, he's very smooth in the ring, too. You watch this guy and you're drawn to him immediately. So, I mean, those two, I think they can take the company long term, hopefully, if the booking stays consistent to the next level. And I see Brian as kind of this bridge to, if they make him world champion on the marquee, hopefully, you know, they can attract some attention, because like we were talking about, some of it's on Brian. He's wanted to have the dream matches, he's been in charge of a lot of his creative, and he just hasn't wanted to be world champion. But I feel like while he's wrestling, man, you got to take advantage of him. He's a big name, and elevate some of these other guys. So we will see. The only other matches announced for tonight are Brian Keith against Shibata. And they I think just in the last 24 hours added a Mariah May match, Mariah May against Viva Van. So what do you thought about Mariah May since the turn that she did on Tony?
Okay, so yeah, the turn on Tony was very unexpected in a good way. I was with you guys on that. I love the turn. I love the way they did it. I wish, like the scene with Tony with the blood was good. I wish they didn't have so much blood in AEW to where it would stand out a little bit more, or it would have stood out more when it happened. But I love the visual of Tony just looking there all bloody and sad and just like heartbroken. Like that was awesome. The turn was fine. I've loved the build, you know, up to but the last few weeks has been a little iffy. Like I want Tony as a babyface because did not like this whole timeless Tony Storm gimmick to begin with, and then it was a heel where everybody wants to, again, they want to cheer, and they were trying to do all this stuff to get her booed, and I never liked anything like that. The Mariah May promo the week after, it was okay. It was fine. I think it was a little better than this last time she spoke with Renee backstage. I thought that was a little bit better, kind of explaining it a little bit more. And then Tony, I just like the fierce, like, I want to get at you, Tony Storm. I think this has been this has been the best built match of everything they've done, which again, the women's division has had so much bad stuff happen. Tony just hasn't put the metal to it, partly because of the talent, partly because of him. I think this is going to be a really fun match. And I don't know, and I honestly don't know where they're going to go with the finish, because I think you could really do either way. I think Mariah with the title could be great, because I think Mariah, the more I've seen of her, I was a little iffy at first. Like I thought she was good in the ring, but I hadn't heard enough from her to really think, okay, is she going to be as big of a star as some people are thinking? But now I really do think she could be a big star for them in the women's division. So I actually don't know. I'm still leaning on where they go for the finish, but the build to the match has been really fun. I've enjoyed most of what they've done with this.
Yeah, it's certainly the best storyline they've ever done in the women's division, and
Yes.
maybe in the company. I mean, it has been very well built. I've been super high on this, as you guys know from listening to the show, and been very high in Mariah for a long time. They've kept her promos very brief. I mean, like the sit down with Renee was very, very quick. I think she's done a good job in transitioning her character. But yeah, Tony has been incredible in this maniacal kind of, you know, how she wants to get after her and everything she's done on TV since has been really, really good. So I'm looking forward to that match. I wanted to point out a chat we just got about Takeshita, because I agree with this 100%. Someone in the chat, F50 writes, Takeshita needs a mid-card belt ASAP. Saw him last month in Osaka for the G1, and his mannerisms shine through even from the live audience. I feel Takeshita is one of those guys they've not capitalized on. I 100% agree. He's had chances at belts, and I've usually been stunned they didn't roll with him. I'm right there with you. I think Takeshita is a guy that they got something there, and it's kind of been baffling how they would seem to like maybe start getting behind, pushing him a little bit, and then they back off, and they never really go all the way with him. And he's got it, man. I mean, dude's a phenomenal worker. So
yeah, I'm with. I mean, does Takeshi need a mid card belt? Maybe not, but he needs to get wins. He needs to get
yeah,
TV time and
for
get
sure.
wins. I mean, he's so talented, and him being with the stupid Don. I mean, I like Don Callis, but his family's meant nothing for the entire time it's been around. Don Callis had a lot of heat, and then it's gone nowhere since Kyle Fletcher lost, Haas before he got hurt lost, and now Takeshi has lost a ton. And so Takeshi just needs to be built up, and the G1 hopefully will help with that once he gets back, because they do need to do something with him like soon, or else he's going to be just mean nothing on AEW television.
Yeah, Callis I thought was fine when he was with Kenny, like initially.
Yes,
But yeah,
yes, I agree.
the Callis family, you're right, has never been anything. I was glad they got Ospreay away from that. He's just not really doing anything for anybody right now. So yeah, we could do without the Callis family, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So real quick here, I'm gonna run down NXT results from last night. If you guys have any thoughts on NXT from last night, hit us in the chat. Let us know if you saw the show, and then we'll briefly talk about this Cobra Kai news with the AEW tie-in. So last night on NXT, which also NXT has announced they're hitting the road for some of their television tapings here. I think in October coming up, they're going to be in St. Louis. Randy Orton's going to appear on that show. They're going to be in Chicago. So they're going to take the show on the road more so than just when they do it for the PLEs. But last night on the show, Pete Dunne defeated Trick Williams. They had about a 13-minute match in the NXT Women's North American title match. Kelani Jordan defeated Tatum Paxley. In the NXT title match, Ethan Page defeated Oro Mensah. No surprise there. Joe Hendry, who said he might stick around NXT for a while, defeated Joe Coffey. Ren Sinclair defeated Kendall Gray, and Axiom and Nathan Frazier successfully defended their NXT tag titles against MSK. So that's what was happening on NXT last night. Real briefly, before we hit the road, because we're already up at 30 minutes. These shows go so fast, Sean. You've done a great job on here. Great discussion.
Hey, thanks, man.
Are you a big fan of Cobra Kai? Do you watch any Cobra Kai on Netflix? Because apparently there's going to be an AEW star on there pretty soon. Britt Baker is going to be making a guest appearance in the second half here, I guess, of the final season of Cobra Kai. Have you watched the show at all?
No, I haven't. I've heard good stuff about it, but I have never seen it, unfortunately. But if I know Britt Baker is going to be on there, hey, I'll check it out. Bring something to it that makes me, gets me interested. I'd be fine. But no, I haven't seen it. Unfortunately, I can't say anything about it.
It's phenomenal. I mean, if you like the old Karate Kid movies, you'll like it. I will say, like, season 1 is really, really good. It got a little teeny bopperish in the middle there, but it's really good now. I'm making my way through the first half of the final season right now. But yeah, she's going to be in the second half of the final season, season 6, which will be starting up in November. I did hear that they like filmed the first half and the second half pretty much concurrently, so that's why they're going to release so quickly, because the first half like just came out a few weeks ago, not too long ago at all. But yeah, Mike Johnson at PW Insider had the report that Baker is going to appear in season 6 of Cobra Kai during the second half. So she is going to be, they're kind of building up to this karate, like international karate tournament. That's the big storyline right now. And she's going to be on one of the other teams that is competing in the karate tournament during the second half. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Britt, Britt, one thing I'll say, she needs to stop. She has a lot of baggage with her right now. I like her in the ring, is she the greatest? No, she's not. I mean, she has okay matches. Her promos are really, really good. I enjoy her, but she needs to stop getting all this issue backstage with MJF, with anyone at this point, because That he said, she said, we don't know every detail, but we know Britt's had this issue before, and I just want her to just, man, keep your P's and Q's. Like, you have something good with Mercedes right now. Let's build to that and stop having all this stuff backstage that Tony doesn't need. We don't need right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Her and Mercedes it all in. I agree. There's been a lot of drama in the past. I hope it doesn't get out of hand again here with everything we heard about the MJF incident and everything, because yeah, she really is one of the pillars of that company. She is always one of the most popular people. When you go to a show, you see the Britt Baker shirts everywhere. I've got daughters, and my little kids love Britt Baker. She
Okay.
is like one of their all-time favorite wrestlers. And
Wow.
I don't know, she's got something. I mean, especially
Sure.
little girls, they love her. They like her a lot. And so you want to see her stick around. And she has been one of those mainstays ever since the very, very beginning for this company. So yeah, she's getting a little crossover exposure with Cobra Kai, which is one of the most popular shows on streaming. So I'll be big in November. I'm sure we'll talk about it when that episode actually airs here in a few months. So Sean, it's been a blast, man. I appreciate you jumping on. You got anything coming up? You doing guest spots on the Torch or anything you want to promote?
Well, I say, yeah, I usually, anytime I can, I try to call in. He just, right now, he's only letting VIP members and Patreon members call in just because understandably, it'd be crazy if everybody tried to call in on YouTube. I mean, you could be there for 4 or 5 hours, but
Yeah.
I get to call in whenever I have the time. I try to call into his shows. I think Wade Keller's one of the best out there to do it. You, Wade, Jason, Pal, Zach. I mean, you guys are all great at what you do, but I love calling into his shows because I've been a member of his site for a long time. Um, I've co-hosted with Jason Powell on Pro Wrestling Net and his Pro Wrestling Boom podcast. I'm on there with him quite a bit, so if you ever get a chance, check those out. And yeah, just Zach, like I said, I consider him a friend. I've been on. I was one of the first members of his site, new site with Tyler, and I think they do a great job. So I've been on a podcast with them and hope to get on, some hopefully in the future. But yeah, just been great being on with you. One thing I'll say, AEW, please have a match tonight where we don't know who wins, because again, we just know who's winning every match tonight, and that's kind of a bummer for me. It's hard to get invested when I just know who's going to win every match.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll be breaking it all down tomorrow. Yeah, it's been great having you on, Sean. Always a mainstay in the chat. Enjoyed your support of Top Rope Nation as well. See you around there more in the future. I also got to promote you guys. I am wearing the One True Sport Daily shirt once again here. We do have merch, Zach and I, which you can get at onetruesport.com. We got a hat. There you see it on the screen right now. We also got this shirt in black or blue. I went with the blue. Big fan. It's kind of like soft style. Good stuff. You want to support us and One True Sport, you can check it out at onetruesport.com. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, yeah, as always, check me out at Top Rope Nation. We have our flagship show tomorrow night. Subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss it. Turn the bell notifications on. That's on a different channel, so search Top Rope Nation. And I will be back tomorrow morning here on One True Sport for One True Sport Daily. Again, thanks for your support, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning.